Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. We're out here in the shop again. There's some things we're working on. If you remember, we're working on the Cub, we're working on the Wagon, and nothing else around the homestead waits for us either. So stick around with us, hang out. Let's get some stuff done today. Our guineas decided to come over here to the shop and bother me, say hello. So you're going to hear them in the background. I apologize. So we exchanged the plug, the wrong plug they gave us for our radiator the other day. So I got the right one now. So I'm going to drain our radiator here on the Cub. You can see the conglomeration of mess we put on there just to get a plug in it. So we're going to take all that out. We're going to put our new plug in, and we don't have the correct amount of antifreeze in here, and we have a day coming up where we might get a freeze. So I want to make sure that we get that in there because we don't want cracks. I was looking at this the other day. It looks like maybe they had got some cracks or something somewhere in time, and they maybe did some repair. So hopefully it's a good repair. Seems nice and hard. Got a little seepage right here, but I think these bolts go all the way down into the casting, so maybe just that bolt's not sealed up. Well, let's get this thing drained and get the proper amount of antifreeze in here, and then we got one other check we want to do. While I'm waiting for our regulator to drain with that little tiny 1/4-inch valve, I'm going to take the cup off the bottom of the oil bath air cleaner. We'll clean that out, get some fresh oil in that, and we'll also check the oil, make sure the oil's still good. It was good when we got the tractor, and it was beautiful oil, like it had been recently changed. So we'll get that done. Let's see what kind of sludge we have in here. It does, by the color, it's not terrible, but yeah, it's got quite a bit of sludge in there. So we'll get all that cleaned out. The color didn't look bad, but looks like it's got a little water in it too. Got her all cleaned out pretty now. A little brake clean and a parts brush. There was even some red paint under there, believe it or not. But you can tell where to fill it up to. It says oil level. And it's got the little arrow that points to this line here. But if it don't have that, there's usually a line on the cup, and it pretty much lines up with the top of this little center cup here too. So put the oil up to that level, put her back on, and you've got her whipped. About 30 weight oil is all you need in there. Got her back on. You just put it up on there, and then this little springy clip right here just pulls over to the middle and holds it on. Now how this works is your intake air comes through here, and it bubbles through that oil before it comes out and goes down into the carburetor, and any dirt or particulates that are in the air that come in gets trapped in that oil as it goes through, and then keeps your air coming into your motor clean. Now we've got our old coolant drained out of the radiator. I'm going to change out our plug down there, and then we'll refill. Well, real quick change of plan. I just remembered that this piece, for some reason, was left off when this radiator was put back on. So we're going to take these bolts out, which should not affect our seal underneath here, but we'll put a little sealant on these bolts when we put them back in, and if we have a little seepage here around this bolt, that should stop that. Good time to do it while we have the coolant out. Okay, we got our little plate cleaned up, and it was also bent, so we put it on the anvil, gave it a couple little tappies, got her ready to go back on. Now I think I know why they didn't put this on before, because they had a bunch of stuff apart and they had this little short bolt in there, and it probably wasn't long enough to go through this and screw into the casting, because one of the other bolts I pulled off of the top of the radiator was the right size bolt. So I'm thinking they threw it together and used the wrong one. So now we have all the same bolts that will thread far enough in there. We're going to get some RTV silicone after we clean these bolts up, and we'll put those in with some of the silicone, and that should seal it up. All right, we cleaned up all our bolts and everything. We even went to the expense of brand new lock washers, if you can believe that. And we put some RTV on those bolts as we put them in. That stuff needs to cure for a day, and our freezing temperatures won't be tonight. I don't think it's till tomorrow night. So we're going to leave this empty. We can refill this thing tomorrow. But we did get our big art project that we did to plug that up out of there. And then we're going to put our new plug in right now. Then we can move on to something else. Well, we got Cubby all put back to bed. So I need to take another propane tank out into the greenhouse. The one that's out there is almost empty. If we do get those freezing temperatures here in a couple days, we're going to need more propane out there. This is one of the ones for the backup generator. It's a bigger tank, but we've got a couple to fill in town, but we can do that another day. Let's go swap that out. Okay, we got her swapped out. If you're ever messing with one of these, remember that the old inside threads, they're backwards. So to take it out, you have to turn it that way instead of the normal way that you would think. Look at our tomatoes. Isn't it amazing how fast these things grow? Crazy fast. We need to start giving some away. Also, in case you're interested, this heater that's about 4 inches in diameter, it uses about a third of one of these small tanks burning all night long. And we used it 2 nights. I don't want to take the chance of it running out when I need it the most in the morning. So that's why we're going to this big tank. And then once we're all past the frost danger, we'll get everything filled back up. Now, if you have a store near you that fills propane tanks and not just swap them out, I recommend that you get them filled, because you're going to get more propane in your tank than you get in those like metal cages at the convenience stores or the gas stations where they just swap you a tank. They don't fill those tanks all the way. They're underfilled. If you've got 2 tanks and you can do the comparison, you can definitely tell the weight difference on one that's filled. Now, they usually have a minimum fill charge, so make sure you take a couple tanks in. You don't want to take a half a tank in and get it filled because of that minimum fill charge. But if you have a couple tanks, it's well worth your money to get them filled. Well, let's get back on the wagon here. We have some corners here we need to fill, and these are 90-degree corners right here. Luckily, we have the piece that we cut out of here, which has the same profile right here. So all you got to do is get your square and cut 90-degree corner, which is your 45 angle here. We'll just cut these 2 pieces out, and then these pieces here will fit perfectly in our corner here. We're going to have to trim this one a little bit because this one sticks past this little bit, but we'll trim it exactly to fit in there. We'll weld that in, and we'll have a perfect 45-degree corner with the same profile here. Now we'll use another piece of that to cap this off. I'll use this lip right here. We'll go down a little bit and cap this off as well. And then this piece here, instead of leaving this sharp 90-degree corner out here, we're going to use another piece of that to 45 this corner so this isn't so pointy out here. Okay, we got all of our capping done. Got the corner capped here. Got this corner beveled. Got this inside corner capped all the way down, and it's got a rolled edge here. So that's real nice. We did it on both sides. Now we found an area here on the wagon that was cracked almost all the way through. So I got the cutoff wheel, clean that crack up. We're going to weld that, so that's not a problem because that'll make the side weak if this side wall is not intact. But that's the only breakthrough we found on the outside of the wagon. So I'll get that welded up and cleaned up. Got that all cleaned up. Now I'm going to go around. There's areas where like the rail is up, kind of bent. So we're going to go around with a big hammer and knock all these down flat. See if we find any sharp areas. Like right here we found a sharp edge. Got rid of that. Just make it safe for people. Make sure there's no sharp edges here underneath. Okay, we got all that done. Now we need to work on getting this frame back underneath the wagon for support. So I need to put this over here on some sawhorses. We'll clean a lot of this up because it'll be easier to do now than it will be when it's up under the wagon. And then we'll lift up the front of the wagon and slide that back underneath and get all the bolts back in where they need to go. And then we'll weld it to this bottom frame down here. It's going to be a job. Well, with a little help from Kelly, after I got this frame cleaned up, we were able to get this back underneath the wagon here. This provides a lot of stability to the side of our wagon. I just got some temporary bolts because I didn't have the right length, but we'll get those swapped out soon enough. So trailer's wagon really coming together here. Now we're going to have to jump back on this thing in the morning. It'll be on this video. But tonight we have a graduation party to go to. So we'll see you tomorrow morning. Alright folks, we are back. It's the next day. We have a little bit of time to do a few more things on the wagon. And if you remember, we can put the antifreeze back in the tractor. I think we're expecting a freeze tonight. Or close to a freeze. So what we need to do here, we'll show you. I need to make another angle iron piece for the front of the wagon here because the one on the bin part here is pretty roached. So we'll make a piece that fits in between the two side pieces and that we could weld in along the top here. That is done. Now next thing we're going to do is these old chains that were in here. I don't know what the purpose of them was for, but they've got these eye bolts here that we're going to utilize. We need to either thread this nut off of here or cut it off depending on how it goes. Okay, we got them unscrewed. So what we're going to use these old eye bolts for is we want to put a safety chain across here on the back. So we'll use these eye bolts on either side to attach our chain. We already have a little bracket in here that was left over. It's got a hole in it. I don't know if you can see that in there. But we'll drill a corresponding hole on the outside for that bolt will come through this bracket as well. There's a hole in it. And then we'll either bolt that in or weld that in to hook our safety chain to. Got our eyes welded on each side. I put it through, put the nut on the back, and then I welded the nut. And then I welded the nut to the inside of that little bracket in there. So these aren't going anywhere. And then we'll get a clip for the end of this at the hardware store. And then we'll just cut this chain off. We don't need this one. We'll use this old chain, it'll be fine. And then we'll have a nice safety chain across here, so we don't dump people out the back. I don't have enough time to do the next project I want to do on a wagon. So we're going to go ahead and put the antifreeze here in the cub. All right, this concentrated antifreeze, you mix 50-50 with water. So we're going to go get some water. So, not good news. We didn't have any leaks here where we sealed all this up yesterday, but now it's seeping through this old repair here. And I don't know what they did this repair with. Looks like it could be like JB Weld or something. But that's not a good thing. Now you can order this whole lower piece here, this whole casting. They still have them from tractors they've parted out. They just go to right here, and then the steering connects to it on the bottom. It's just this lower piece. But they're not cheap. So now this changes everything. It can't run with this much seeping here. We would, once your radiator gets pressurized, your coolant system gets pressurized, this will blow out of here. So not cool. So up until now, everything's been going fantastic with this tractor. This is a pretty good Setback. So I'm probably going to try to do a repair on this before I go to the expense of buying a whole new front end for this thing. So that'll be coming in the future. But we're going to wrap up this video today so I can go throw some stuff off camera. So stay safe, stay healthy, folks. We love you guys. Come back and see us here at Markelly Farm.